Hi, everybody. David McManus here, editor of the Cardiovascular Digital Health Journal. I'm really excited to be joined today by a colleague and the director of the NHLBI's Innovation Office, Dr. Kathleen Rousche. Fun fact, Penn State alumnus. She is one of the most important people when it comes to fostering innovation and research in the cardiovascular space, because the H in NHLBI, of course, stands for heart. And in addition to that, she manages a portfolio of innovations projects across all of the National Institutes of Health. So we have a new administration, science is cool again. We are definitely excited about where the NIH is going generally. We've seen so much good come from the NIH here with the COVID pandemic. And we're really excited to hear Dr. Rousche's thoughts about digital health, also resources and opportunities for scientists, be they engineers or be they physicians or clinicians, in terms of opportunities to get support for commercializing their products. People may not think of the NIH as a innovation sponsor, but it is. And Dr. Rousche is really in a unique position to educate us a little bit about that. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Rousche and joining our podcast. So welcome.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Dr. Rousche, our viewers of this podcast are comprised of submitters and creators and innovators who submit to the Digital Health Journal, Digital Cardiovascular Health Journal. And as such, they're really interested, as you're really plugged into what the National Heart, Lung, Blood Institute, what types of innovations it is best suited to support. They're very interested to know, are you best suited to support projects that are oriented towards more wellness projects or products like the Apple Watch or something intended to change behavior around activity? Or are you more oriented towards what are considered medical grade type devices or so-called prescription devices oriented around making a diagnosis? What types of technologies would you say the NHLBI is right now most comfortable supporting?
No, that's a great question, Dave. And we support certainly digital health. It's not a huge part of our portfolio, but we are seeing an increase in numbers. And probably more in our interest area would be those technologies that are leading to a diagnosis or treatment. Mm-hmm. In fact, right now there is a sort of a split in the digital health market between direct-to-consumer products and medical products. And innovators need to take this into consideration as they think about what their final product is going to be. The regulatory is going to be different depending on whether you have wellness claims versus diagnosis and treatment claims. The go-to-market strategy is important to consider, and revenue models are different. There must be clear plans for the customer segment. You have to think about data, data in general, and big data when you are thinking about HIPAA policy and regulations. And it's important to know your competitive environment. What else is out there? What's going to be in development that might impact the ability for you to attract investment in your particular technology? The team is really important with any type of technology development, and you need to have somebody that's going to be able to inform on the design of comparative studies that are going to demonstrate patient-reported outcomes.
Well, Dr. Rousche, I bet it's blowing the minds of our listeners that in NIH, a federal a person, granted now you're scientifically trained, but that you're so oriented towards sort of commercialization and supportive innovation at sort of a business level. So, a lot of our submitters have patented a new technology or have some IP, and I bet they're surprised because conventionally they're thinking venture capital, maybe dealing with the CRO, maybe dealing with, but the NIH, that I bet is blowing their mind because you're clearly you've got a team, right, that is focused on sponsoring innovation. And I just to back up for a second, as you're talking about digital health, you're talking about what innovators need to consider as they approach the NIH as a partner, which I think is a major point that they may not realize. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that, and we recognize that even early on with projects that are very early, we need to consider the downstream business elements of that, technology. How is it going to get actually into a patient to impact health? So because of this, we have about 10 years ago started an innovation office to address some of these product development areas and give innovators access to really unique expertise with some programs that we offer, as well as with the unique staff and their expertise in our office.
That's great. So why don't we do this as a teaser? Dr. Rousche will kick off our next segment with a description of the resources and the team that you just described that are available to our innovators to get some help as they launch their projects. I've just as a matter of full disclosure, part of the reason why we've invited you, Dr. Rousche, is we've worked together in the context of the CAPCAT project, which is the Center for Advancing Point of Care Technologies in Heart, Lung, Blood, and Sleep Disorders. And I've seen innovators come through your training process or your pipeline and get advice about regulatory, get advice about even making a pitch to an investor about your tech, about your idea. And so I'm aware of the tremendous value that even early stage, junior faculty, a fellow or a postdoc with a great idea, it's never too early to engage you in your team. So I'm really excited about our next segment. I hope people will stick around and join us, because we're going to dive deep into what resources are available through your office for innovators. So thank you, Dr. Rousche, and see you in our next segment.
Thank you.